Hey guys, how you doing? jpsarrireviews here. I hope you're having a fantastic day. Now, the first season of Loki is finally over, and I know that I'm late to the party, and I'm sure that you have watched tons of reviews of the show. You probably already watched it. You already have, made up your mind in regards to it. But in any case, I want to share with you what I think about the show, what I like about it, what I didn't like about it. And ultimately, I want to let you know what I think about it, as a whole, as part of the MCU, as the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and what is to come in the aftermath of this first season. So the next couple of minutes, stay tuned. Dig good. The first thing that we need to point out, and I wouldn't say that it's a good thing, but it's more for reference, because I do feel that this is an important aspect of the MCU. And this show, this particular season of Loki, and I would say the entire show, is setting the stage for a lot of things to come. And the writer, for example, of this season of Loki is Michael Waldron. Michael Waldron hasn't really done a lot of stuff as a writer, as a script writer, but he is the writer for Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, the upcoming film next year. So you can see in the story here that a lot of the aspects of the story are already setting the foundation for that. Not only for that, also for the upcoming Ant-Man on the West and Quantumania. You can see that in the entire show. They're setting foundation for the next phase of the MCU, which is interesting. And also the director here is Kate Herron, and Kate Herron really hasn't done a lot of stuff. She's a very young director, and she has done some short films and various seasons or episodes of different seasons on different shows on TV. But she hasn't done a lot of stuff. So there's a lot of fresh blood here. And in some ways, it feels that the season of the show here feels experimental. And that's good. I don't have a problem with that. I know some people prefer more seasoned directors because they can bring something very more established within the confinements of the stories, the confinements of this universe. But I do feel that they bring something very unique and very different, a different flavor. And it's always a good thing. So yeah, that's something that we need to point out. But the first thing that I need to point out as good in the show that I personally really blows my mind here is Tom Hiddleston as Loki. The guy has earned that reputation. He has earned that badge. I feel that he is the perfect Loki, and this show really sets that even more because he's really good at it. The personality, the traits, he is very devious. He changes from one thing to the other. You don't know if to love him or to hate him. I would say that the show makes it more personal. This show allows for him, of course, to be at the center, not just as a foe, not just as even as a companion, but more as the person that you're paying attention to. That's the reason why the show is called Loki in the first place. And I like that because I think there's a lot of different aspects of Loki that Tom really is doing a great job in bringing out. I feel like he really embodies the character in a good way. He has done that through the MCU, through Thor, through the Avengers, through the different aspects of the MCU that he's been part of. I think he has really embodied the character really well. And this is the opportunity for him to shine as an actor. And I do feel that he earns it and he does a good job. He's very likable. Even as a villain, he's likable. And, make no mistake, this is another really great addition to the repertoire of the stuff that he has done here. But not only Tom is doing a fantastic job, you also have to consider Owen Wilson as Mobius, the agent of the TVA, the Time Variance Authority. He does a fantastic job. One thing I would say about Owen Wilson is that he has this persona that is so charismatic. He is funny even without trying to be funny. And I think the studio's directors have recognized that, and they utilize that to the advantage of the films that he's been part of. And I think particularly the relationship that he has with Tom, the moments that they interact with each other, they're the best. It's a chess match, even at throwing some shade at the other person. It was good. I like that. But also I want to mention Sophia Martino, who portrays Sophia, a variant of Loki, a female variant. And I like her. At the beginning of the story, of course, she's kind of the enemy. The TVA is after her, and that's the reason why they have to, in some ways, recruit Loki, our Loki, to go after her. But in the story, of course, it's a relationship that developed between our Loki and Sophie. And it's really good in the sense that I like it. I know some people didn't like that relationship as much, and they have mentioned that in some reviews. But to be honest with you, I think it was another strong point. And I think Sophia did a terrific job portraying the character. Of course, this is not based technically on a comic book. First, it takes inspiration from comic books because it is its own persona created for the show. But it takes inspiration from Enchantress and also Lady Loki. So it's pretty much a combination of those. Another person that I need to mention before I forget, and I think it's important too, is Tara Strong. Even though you don't see her on the screen because she is the voice of Miss Minutes, who is the mascot of the TVA and appears everywhere. I like her. You know, her voice has always been good. Of course, she was, and to me, she's always been the Harley Quinn. Her voice is so unique. It's so iconic. So I like her here. It's funny to hear her, and there's some funny lines that she does, and definitely it's a big part of the show. Now, in mentioning the story part, I would say that there's a big plus here. This story, again, like I said before, it is not an adaptation of a particular comic book storyline, but it's a story in itself that takes a lot of cues from a lot of different aspects of pretty much the long history of Loki as a character, but also the Avengers and some other things are all combined here. So the visual references here are all over the place. If you are a comic book geek like I am, you're going to see a lot of things everywhere that are going to make you giggle. And it's just amazing to see that, whether from modern stories or old stories. I think you're going to see all of that. And I definitely, the Easter eggs are all over the place. And to me, that's good. The Time Variance Authority, for example, is an Easter egg that not only those that are really hardcore with the stories that will recognize this association, this corporation, but you know, most people don't. But I would say that even though all those things are there, the story is one thing in itself, and that's good. I like that because there's a mystery that is happening within this story. Another thing that I need to point out that I really enjoy about the show is the soundtrack and the style. I really love the cinematics here. And it pays homage to mystery sci-fi from the 70s and even from the 60s. So you can feel that in the coloration, you can feel that in the stuff, even in the furniture, in the design, in the architecture, all of that, you can feel it. But definitely the soundtrack is really good and it's engaging, particularly the outro song after, of course, the last thing that happened in every episode, the cliffhanger to the next episode. I really love the outro. I think it's really good. The intro song, all of the stuff, but the music throughout the film is very good. You can feel the quality of it. It doesn't feel like the show is cheap. That's another thing that I can tell you that I really enjoyed about the show overall with the style. That, you know, it is a TV show, and sometimes TV shows, of course, they make sacrifices because, of course, they don't have the same budget as a big blockbuster film. However, I do feel that the money that was used for this show was well utilized, and you can see it, you can feel it, the quality of it, the style of it. It feels like a big production, and it is a big production. The Bat. Now it's time to talk about The Bat. And yes, even though the show has a lot of good things, it doesn't mean that it's perfect. There are a lot of things here that have been heavily criticized, and one of them is the uneven pace. It is very uneven. There are a lot of highs and there are a lot of lows. Only 6 episodes. It was supposed to be between 10 to 12 episodes, but because of COVID, it has to be shortened into just an amount of 6 episodes because of the delays and all of that. But they have crammed a lot of stuff within each episode that has created these moments where there's a lot of exposition. All of a sudden there's action, and all of a sudden there's more exposition and there is action. And sometimes there's not even action at all. For some people it's great, for a lot of people it's not so good because it becomes heavy and sometimes a bit tedious to watch. So I feel that in trying to simplify things, they overcrowded certain things and also make things, again, tedious and also convoluted at times. And then expanding on that point, again, I would say that the fact that it's a very short season really affects the way you perceive the show, because it feels that they were trying to make this a sci-fi mystery, like I mentioned before, and that's the idea. It's a sci-fi mystery, it pays homage to it, but because it's very short, it doesn't allow enough room to breathe for the mystery part to breathe. So it works more as a sci-fi story rather than a mystery, but it tries to be a mystery. It tries to bring these moments where you feel like, what's next, with cliffhangers and stuff. But it doesn't work as well because everything is going really, really fast in those instances. Yes, the pacing is not as good, but the show is really pushing things of the narrative really fast. And that happens with the characters. You know, the characters really change very quickly, and that's something that has been criticized, like Loki, for example, that he goes from being this character that we have known, that he has no love for anyone, into a person that is showing his emotions very quickly. And that's because of that, because the season is too short. And you know what? I'm okay with character development. I feel that it's important for character development. But because, you know, they have to really put everything within the frame of the season, within these 6 episodes, it's like things are happening quickly. If they were just stick with the idea of keeping the season long, I think they would have more time to really develop the characters in a better way. Now, expanding on the exposition aspect of the show, the heavy exposition of the show, I will tell you the episode number 6, the last episode, season finale, wasn't my favorite here. It was not as good as anticipated or what I was expecting. I'm telling you, it came on the tails of episode number 5. And episode 5, it's amazing. It was a masterpiece of production. It was fantastic. It was the best episode that we have seen, not only on this show, but in all the shows that they have produced so far, the MCU has produced here on Disney+. It was the best. Because I was waiting for episode 6 to come because I'm thinking this is going to blow my mind. And in some ways, it's good because there's an introduction of a villain that is so important, and perhaps you already heard it. Of course, it's not named here. It is called He Who Remains. If you know the comics, you know this is a variant. That's the reason you have seen this, pretty much the revolution that is happening in social media with Kong the Conqueror, because it's a variant of that, Immortals, all of that. We're not going to go into detail with that, but he is presented, introduced, but I was not impressed. Even though a lot of people are impressed, I was not impressed because there is a lot of, I feel that this show is trying to justify itself and trying to justify what the MCU is trying to do. Yes, they're trying to set the foundation, but at the same time, I felt that it was not as well explained, even though they try to simplify it. And at the same time, they're just trying to set, it's like you feel that Loki could be its own thing, but in so many ways, Loki is just a setup for whatever is to come. And it was interesting, but the exposition was too heavy, and I think it felt in this episode felt deflated, you know, in comparison to what the episode 5 was all about. In conclusion, I'm telling you, I really enjoy, for the most part, the show. I think, again, Tom Hiddleston is amazing. Owen Wilson is amazing. Sophia and Martino did a fantastic job as well. I love the visuals. I love the style. I love the soundtrack. I think definitely there are strong moments here. You know, there are bad things. There's a lot of exposition. There are things that don't really make as much sense. And ultimately, this is just a setup, again, for the future. Beyond all those complaints that I may have or anyone else can have, I still feel that this is the best show so far that have been produced on Disney+. It's better in my opinion. There are a couple of things I would say the Falcon and the Winter Soldier did better, but at the same time, I feel that this is better than that and also much better than WandaVision. So if I have to give this show a final score, I will say this season, I will say it's an 8 out of 10, which is good. I like it. I had fun with it. Even though it has shortcomings, I think the highlights really are really powerful enough, strong enough to sustain the show and make it really an enjoyable ride. But what is your opinion? What do you think about it? Did you enjoy the season? Are you a fan of what has, in this case, Disney Plus has done here, or you're not a fan? Let me know in the comments below. So once again, my friends, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, to comment, and to subscribe. Hit the notification button so you're reminded of the next video. Follow me on social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. The links are down below. And please consider supporting the channel financially through Patreon. My friends, God bless you. Take care, and I will talk to you again. Bye-bye.